Hello, this is Kreuter with a new video. This time I will talk about how to render cars in Blender using the Cycles engine as good as possible. So as you can see, this is the result of what I'm going to show you in this video. So we'll not talk about the modeling of the car itself, and as you can see it's not finished either. We're going to talk about the lighting and rendering and a bit about nodes too. So let's start with it. Now, so as you can see, I have here my car model and I have my camera position too already. And make sure that up here you've selected the Cycles render. And by the way, sorry for the loud noise in the background. I know it's not very good, but it can't be helped. I don't have an external microphone. So, but anyways, I will create all the background objects and lighting on a separate layer. So on the second layer I have already my setup, but I will show you how to do that from sketch on a new layer. So I'll make the first and the third one visible and create a new object, a plane. This will be the background object. So create a new plane, scale it about scale it by 10 or something like that, then enter the edit mode, select all of it and extrude it upward like that, and scale it a bit again like this, and delete the face here, up here, something like this. And well, I think it's better to make it a bit bigger like this. Yeah, it should be fine like this. This will be our background object, so we have a nice fall off of the colors here. And yeah, so next step is to add a subdivision surface modifier. Let's say subdivision 3. Then I forgot, in the edit mode here, click Control R to add here edge loops and add 1 on each side like this here, and then in the object mode apply this modifier here, so we have an object which looks like this, and make it have smooth shading. Okay, the next step is well, let's see how it looks like in the render view. So as you can see, I have already some materials set up, but just ignore them for now. See, I'll delete them so you have the same result. And now the next step is are the world settings. So I have them already, but I'll show you how to do that. Again, just add here a new world and add a color which is a bit blue here, so we get that overall blue color in the image. I like it very much. I mean, you don't have to do that, but I would suggest you to do so. Then as a next step, let's create 2 light sources above the car. These are the main lights that are going to make the image bright. So add a plane, and I'll show you this here in this shading mode so you can see everything clearly. Move it to something about this position here and scale it to this size like this. Then move it a bit here to this side and rotate it like that. So we have here a big source of light that comes from an angle like this, and move it a bit forward so this part here gets light too. Then copy that object by clicking Shift D, move it over here and rotate it like this. Alright, now next thing is to set up an emission material for this object. So let's have a look at this in the render view again. So select this, add here a new material, select emission, and leave the settings as they are. They should be fine. And here select the same material, which was it? Material 003 here. Select this one here too, and we got what we want. I'll just move them a bit higher so they won't get in our way later on. But as you can see, we have already a nice lighting setup here, and we can move on to setting up the materials for the background of the car itself. Now select the background and add a new material, and for this object select a glossy surface, yeah, like this, but we don't want it to be that blank, so add a roughness of 0.3, I think that's fine. And now there is this color here that makes quite a big difference between the results. So as you can see, when it's white, you can see the background is blue here and this part here is white. But as you can see, when I move this here to be more black, you can see that all of the image gets, the whole image gets darker, and you can also make it this dark, and you get that effect that it seems like the car would be in free space, and you just have this this light ground here, which is a reflection of the light sources up here, and the car at this place here. I like this effect very much, and yeah, if you want to do that like this, you can do it. Now select the next object, the car itself, and add a new material. And now the material setup of the car itself is a bit different, because we have to use a mix shader surface here, because we want to combine two glossy shaders now. So select glossy up here and down here, both of them. But the difference between those two has to be the roughness. So make the upper one be something like 0.2 or 0.3, and here this one make it be 0, so we have that very shiny look too. Now as you can see, let's wait a bit. Now you can see that we have here these very hard edges of the second shader, but we still have that diffuse overall shading too. But you also you can adjust the amount of the hard and the soft one by changing this value here. So let's make it 0. Now you can see we have just the first shader visible, and if we make that 1, we have only the hard one visible. So I think a value is something about 0.1, something like this should be fine. And let's see how it looks like. Yeah, I think that's fine. Now if you want to make the car have another color, select the main color here at the first shader. So let's try something like this, a blue, and here the second shader has to have the same color but much brighter than the first one. So something like this should be fine. So something that looks similar to a white but just a bit blue in it. Now let's wait a few seconds and see how it looks like. Now as you can see, we have already a more interesting surface here, and let's apply this material very quick to the other parts. It was material 005, this one, and this one here. And now we have already everything as we want it to be. So the other parts are also important, but I'm not going to cover these things in this video. Just play around with these settings. I don't think that is very hard to do. But the next important thing we're going to talk about is a bit node stuff and color correction, those things, so we have a glare around the lights and something like that. So something important to know about that is that you can only see the nodes in the rendered version, so you really have to go here and render an image to see what's happening with the nodes. So I'm going to run that very quick, and while that's happening, let's talk about the node editor a bit. So I hope you tried already to use the node editor, because it's a really complicated thing, and it's not so I need a lot of time to know how to use the node editor. So if you're a beginner, I suggest you to search for some tutorials about the node editor first. But as you'll see later, it's always that node system. So you add a first node, which is the scene output. So you get this image, the render, there in the first box, and then you can connect the first box with the second box. And for example, the second box could be brightness and contrast, and then you can change these values. And the third box could be the compositing output, something like that. And then everything that does is changing the brightness and the contrast of that image here. That would be an example for what you can do in the node editor. But as you can see, the render is finished now, and this is the setup of the nodes I already had in the file. So this is how the result would look like with my settings file. But switch here to the compositing settings, because I'll show you how to get this effect from scratch. So let me see. Okay, when you open up the node editor, and make sure you're in this tab here, so click on that icon and check this use nodes on. When you do that, you should see something that looks like this, and just this. I don't want to delete all of these nodes I have already, so I'm just going to move them down here so you can't see them anymore. But you should have something like that now visible at your file. And just to explain it very quick, this is your scene output. So the rendered image is here, and this node sends that image to the next node with this connection here. And this one here is the output of Blender. So let's say it like this. This will be the final image you see here in your render. And between those two things, we have to add our node setup. So let's start with a simple glare node. So hit Shift A and add a filter, a glare filter. And now move it in between those two wires here. And when I change the threshold of this to a low value, let's say something like 0.2, you can see that it is already affecting the image, but you always have to wait a few seconds until it gets updated. But the effect we want for now is that light streak effect with 2 streaks. So set that value to 2 and make the threshold something to like 0.1. I think that's good. Okay, so this is the first thing I'm doing here, and we'll leave that like this for now. But now copy that node by hitting Shift D and move it up here, because we're going to separate that image, or no, it's not separating really, but we're going to add some light effects separately and combine them later again. So in the end we have one image again, but while Blender is working on node editing and stuff, it will split up to 2 images here, or later on maybe 3, we'll see. Yeah, now to see what this node does, you have to connect this one to the composite output, and now we can start changing images. So this one should be a fog glow effect, and the threshold is already good, and yeah, I think the settings are fine like this. And now we need to combine them again, as I said already. So add a new node, Shift A, color mix node, move it in between these 2 nodes and this node here. And what this one does is it combines the first input with the second input. And at the moment it's a mix. It's a mix type, so it's just overlaying them with yeah. But now I want to add the colors of this second image to the colors of the first image, so I'm going to select add here and set this value to 1. I think that's good. Maybe that's a bit too much, so let's try 0.7. Yeah, that should be good. Now I still think that we have not enough glow around these lights here. Of course, it's not very easy at the moment, because these reflections here are nearly as bright as these lights are. So when we add a glare around these lights here, we'll also have a glare around these reflections here. Yeah, that's something you have to keep in mind. So, but anyways, let's try to add now some glare and such. So add a blur filter, put it in between these 2 nodes, select fast Gaussian as type, and let's try something like 200 along the X and the Y axis. Or maybe 100. Or maybe, oh no, let's leave it like that for now. Okay, now we'll move this one a bit down, so we can add here a mix node in between those 2, because I want to add that image to the last one. So okay, so as you can see, here's again a mix node, and I want to use add as blending type. And I want to add the colors of this one to the first image, but not as intense as we can see here. Make this value something like 0.2. I think that's less, 0.1. Yeah, that looks fine. And as you can see, we have now really good looking result of a car rendered in Blender. Of course, you can play around with the settings and try to get better results as this one, or if you want to, you can add lights at different positions, because the position of the light sources in the scene will change the shape of this glare, this reflection here. So if you want there to be a streak on the side or something like that, you need to add a light source behind the camera, for example, things like that. But if you just want to render a car very quick from like this, this should be a good way to start with it. So I hope I could explain everything clearly, and I also hope this really helped you if you had this problem. And of course, thank you for watching. I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye.